Father, we do thank you. We do magnify you. We do exalt you. Father, we're so grateful to be right here, right now, knowing that this is an ordained moment that you have set aside for us, your people. Father, I pray now that everything that I've prepared or studied, that you can use it. But if that's not what you want to say today through this vessel, then Father, I lay it all aside. I yield myself to you. Every member, my ear gate is open, my eye gate is open, my vocal cords are ready to say the things that you would have me to say. Father, I command my inner man, my spirit man, to be in tune with your Holy Spirit, and I will be able to say and do the things that you would have me to do. Father, I pray that the people will not leave here challenged by your word, but changed by your word. Father, we just give you glory, honor, and praise for all of this. Say amen if you agree with that prayer. Come on, you can go ahead and take your seats now. It is such an honor to be here. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing because I want to have some fun with this word today, amen? So, Batman and Robin went camping. Yep, that's what we're going to start with. After they cooked their meal, they set up their tent, they fell asleep, and in the middle of the night, Batman wakes up. He wakes up Robin, and he says to Robin, "What do you see?" Robin says, "Well, holy jeepers, Batman." No, Robin. He says, "Well, astronomically, I see all these stars." And so Batman says, "Robin, what does that tell you?" He says, "Well, astronomically, that tells me there are probably millions, if not billions, of stars, which also probably means that there are billions of other galaxies." And you know what happens when you ask somebody something, they're looking at you like, "Was that it? Was that the answer?" And the person normally don't say nothing, so what do? You keep talking. So Robin kept talking. He says, "Well, okay. Astrologically, it tells me that Saturn is in Leo. Chronologically, I can deduce that it's probably about 3:15 in the morning." He said, "Theologically, it shows me that God is very big and we are small and insignificant." He said, "Meteorology, I can tell that we're going to have a beautiful day tomorrow." And after he said all these things, he looked at Batman and he says, "Batman, what do you see?" And Batman said, "Dummy, somebody done stole our tent." How else did you see the stars if you built the tent already? You missed the obvious point. Now, I'm starting out with a joke for a reason. Because you don't have to have superpowers to be a superhero. Okay, let's keep it with our theme. You don't need to have superpowers or anything beyond what you think you really need in order to be a super Christian, or to be a Christian that is still growing in God. I'm going to show us today how we need to just go ahead and lose this cake that we think we got, because we don't have it, because we're clearly not growing. This is why we still come in here flat week in after week in. I'm going to step on your toes, but I promise you, I love you. And so, we're going to, get this thing straight. So a lot of us are trying to figure out how it is that we're not growing. And so we're going to look through Judges 14. We're going to talk about a superhero, if you will, of the Old Testament. If you've been around church for any amount of time, you've heard about this guy. Who am I getting ready to talk about? See? That's how you know you're around church folks. So I know this is the right word. We're going to talk about Samson. And a lot of times when we talk about Samson, we always go to Samson and Delilah. We always talk about Samson and his great strength and how Samson was taken down by a woman, which also ties into our theme where Pastor has said he's taken us, or we are IsREAL Life Church is in a period of Deborah, where the women are going to lead, where the men need to be standing up, doing their thing, covering the women the way that they're supposed to. So here we are. I could have titled this message so many different things because I was thinking about strong men and the women that love them. See, because this is what happens in our society today. A lot of times women are drawn to strong men, And strong men act out of character a lot of times because they know that their strength can get them out of most situations. And the thing of that is, though, women are attracted to that type of power, and your love that you have for us continues to enable us to be failures. Oh, okay. All right. So let's do some background stuff. Samson's story is found in Judges 13, 14, 15, and 16. So this great man only has 4 chapters dedicated to him, but I shouldn't say only, because Judges has 21 chapters. So that means about 1/5, 20% of this book is talking about one judge, talking about this judge, Samson. Okay, so what is it about Samson? Well, I'm here to tell you that Samson was a complicated person. He was kind of what we call a walking enigma, because he was like a puzzle. It was hard to try to figure him out. See, because of the fact he was empowered by the Spirit of God, but yet he yielded to the appetites of his flesh. Okay. He was strong before men, but then he was weak before women. Thank you, Pastor. I appreciate it. He could conquer the enemies all around him, but he could not conquer the biggest enemy that was within him. We're looking at the man in the mirror. We're going to ask ourselves, why aren't I growing in the things of God? He's the guy who fought the Lord's battles by day, but then he disobeyed the Lord's commandments by night. Okay, Samson is what James was talking about when he was talking about a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. This is who we're going to talk about today. Now, the funny thing about Samson, do we know what Samson means? Samson means sunny, S-U-N-N-Y, bright, which is another reason why I wanted to use that, because he truly was a dummy at the same time. He couldn't have been all that bright. But I can imagine that he brought his family a lot of joy, a lot of laughter. I would say that he probably brought a lot of sunshine into his home. But isn't it ironic that he died a blind slave? Isn't that interesting? So before I move on, so let's go ahead and address that. Samson's story ends in Judges 16, but that's not the last we hear about Samson, because Samson is mentioned in Hebrews 11. Hebrews 11, for those of us that's been in church, theologians, we know that Hebrews 11 is the hall of faith. It is mentioned, Samson is mentioned in there as being a man of faith. However, I'm here to tell you that Samson wasn't a faithful man. So you could be a man of faith, but not faithful. See, because he wasn't faithful to his parents. He wasn't faithful to his vows. He wasn't faithful to his God. So, man, wait a minute. I'm not growing in God because I'm a man of faith. But are you faithful? Woo-hoo-hoo. Man, we're going to have fun with this word. I can see now. This is going to be fun. So, thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm going to need that. Yep. So, let me go ahead and set the setting for you. Let's get to the history, because if Elder Troy was here, he would tell me, you got to set the background. You got to make sure you get everybody in the room. All right, so this is the story. The Philistines. The Philistines decided to leave their area where they were, and they wanted to go south. They wanted to go down into the Mediterranean area. And who wouldn't? It's nice down there. You can get better crops, warmer weather, better beaches, all this other stuff, whatever the reasons. They wanted to get down there. So in 1200 BC, they decided to go from where they were, which is further up north, go down here to the Mediterranean Sea that was occupied by the Egyptians. Well, their battle with the Egyptians didn't go so well. Egypt was like, not here, we not having it, out. They pushed them out and drove them a little further north. Well, where they drove them to north was the coastline of Israel. So the Philistines actually preoccupied 5 major cities in this area. I had a map that I thought I was going to show, but that's not important. You just need to know that the background is the Philistines controlled 5 major cities in this area where Samson grew up. All right? All right, I think that sets it pretty enough. Let's see here. One of the principal judges, and God raised up judges. God raised up judges because he told the judges, your job is to lead the children of Israel and continue to drive the Philistines from out of the territory. So this is why God had judges. So now we go to Samson, who was one of these judges. Now, Samson was called to be a deliverer for the children of Israel, but he really didn't fulfill his calling. He put a dent into some of the things he was supposed to do, but he never answered or fully gave them or responded to the problem, gave them a real solution or a real victory. So we're going to look at 5 steps that Samson took that drove him downward or caused him to drift away from God. And so when you look at this, I want to caution us on this one thing. Any one of these 5 things is bad. Any one of them. And I'm saying for us, for you and I. Any one of these things that we cause or that we allow ourselves to go downhill or to drift away or get away from God is bad. All 5 of them together is disastrous. I guarantee you will fail if you follow all 5 steps. Okay, so let's start with the first step. So we got all that out the way. What was his first step? Here we go. He disrespected his parents. We're going to go through 1 through 3. Then Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah, one of the daughters of the Philistines. So he came back and told his father and mother, I saw a woman in Timnah, one of the daughters of the Philistines. Now, therefore, go, get her for me as a wife. Okay. Then his father and mother said to him, is there no woman among the daughters of your relatives or among all our people that you go take a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines? But Samson said to his father, get her for me, for she looks good to me. Look good to me. All right. So let's talk about it. Now, we know that Samson had a godly heritage. It was by a divine revelation to his parents that he would be born. And when he was born, he was raised to honor God. His parents dedicated him to God with a special vow that we know as the Nazarite vow. What is the Nazarite vow? Why is I can't say that word today, God? What's going on? All right. But we're going to talk about the vow step by step here in a little bit. Now, this vow was a vow of holiness or a vow of dedication or consecration. And as soon as Samson was born, the last verse in chapter 13 talks about how Samson was blessed and the Spirit of the Lord began to move upon him. But isn't it interesting? That's how 13 ends, but 14 now opens up with his launch into life. 13, he was raised this way. The blessings of the Lord was on him. The Spirit of God was on him. 14, we now see a public example of who Samson is for the first time. Now, Pastor also had the youth up here, and he was talking about how he saw some of those kids last night. Some of them was probably in their 20s. Samson was about 20 years old when this happened. So, full-grown man, during this time, sees a woman, he knows what he wants. Okay. Well, he thinks he does anyway. So, what happens, though, a lot of times, as we can see, he begins to move about, and his first public act was to go to the wrong place and look for the wrong person. He goes down to Timnah, which is only about 4 miles from his home. So it wasn't a far walk. Timnah is in the Philistine country. He went down there, and of course, we say down as a spiritual reference point, but if you was to look at it on a map, it was going south. So this is how I say he kept taking steps downward. Geographically, it looks south, but spiritually, that is our reference point. As soon as he's out of chute, out of the chute, his life goes south. So now he gets to Timnah. He's at the wrong place, and he hooks up with the wrong people. He sees this woman, this Philistine, this beautiful Philistine sweet thing. And immediately he was like, I want her. He was like, it's going to be some love-making, heartbreaking, soul-shaking love going on. No, he wasn't PYT. Okay. And so he thinks it's love. And so, as was the custom of that day, you had to go back and ask your father to go get her as your wife. And so it really wasn't love at first sight, but this really is lust at first sight. Why do you say lust? Because of the fact he was living his life through his eyeballs. He was only living his life by the things which he could see. And he was absolutely controlled by his senses. We're no different today. Men today are still pretty much controlled by their senses, primarily by their eyeballs. This is why advertising will have women advertise all of our products for us. Why? Because they know that that's how we operate. That's the thing that gets us. So you look at all these video vixens, these divas, these supermodels and everything. You see them everywhere. They're in your TikToks. They're on YouTube videos. They use them in magazines. And so it becomes something that you want. Why do you say it's something that you want? Because I still talk to young men. I can remember being a younger man. And you asked me what I wanted in a woman. I would have told you. She had to be a supermodel. She had to be a video vixen, with that big old booty. Oh, that's too real for y'all? I'm keeping it real, though. She had to be an Olympic athlete because she had to be able to keep up. She had to have the brain of Albert Einstein. And when I looked in the mirror, though, I looked, what would she want with me? Clearly, I'm not no Olympic athlete, especially not now. Ain't much to keep up with these days. But clearly, though, men are still that same way. They begin to tell you this ridiculousness that they expect from a woman. And this is why it's important, like Pastor is saying, we need to learn how to protect our women, how to cover our women better, and stop allowing our women to be used as a price tag or just as something to go ahead and promote a product. If we would stop running and go buy all that stuff that we saw the video vixen and everybody else with, guess what? They would find another way to market it to us. They'll stop using our women. Oh, no, that's too real, Pastor? Okay. So this is the way we're doing to our men, but not let me digress. Samson's parents thought, you know what? You don't want to marry that girl. And they begin to say to him, look, can't you find a woman of your own people? So, this is for those people that go, Mommy and Daddy always trying to block my blessings. I know this is the man I want. This is the woman I want. She right for me. She look good. And you just trying to tell me no. You so narrow-minded. People don't even think like that no more. You need to get with the times. You so old school, this and that. I'm sure Samson was probably thinking the same thing. But his parents was like, no, we read the Old Testament. We know our Bible. Because our Bible says that when you get to this land that I'm going to give you, do not intermarry with them. It says, do not allow your daughters to marry your sons because they will draw your sons away from me, God. But yet, we still running around here trying to marry that unsaved gigolo. You still trying to marry the chick you met in the club who's dancing for a few dollars. But yet you want to tell your pastor father or your elder mother or whoever, like, you just so old school you don't understand. No, they trying to save your behind. So his parents was like, yo, can't you find one of these girls? They was like, whatever, whatever. Now, the thing of it is, let's jump to verse 4. However, his father and mother did not know that it was of the Lord, for he was seeking an occasion against the Philistines. Now, at that time, the Philistines were ruling over Israel. What does that mean? Wait a minute. God had a plan with this, although Samson was doing the wrong thing. So, this is the question that always comes out, hey, Godfather, I forgot you, Godfather. Godfather, this is a question I always get when I'm ministering this, though. People will come at you and they go, isn't this clearly one of those things where you can kind of do what you want to do and God is still blessed? Because that's what it sounds like, right? However, his father and mother did not know that it was of the Lord, for he was seeking an occasion. Oh, okay, it does kind of sound like you can do whatever you want to do and God is going to bless it. He's going to turn it around for your good. I can make this mistake. God is all right with it. He's going to make it work. Like Samson, I'm going to use me because I don't want to keep stepping on y'all toes. I'm one of those people. I live on the edge. I will go to the edge of hell just to see how hot it really is and see if I'm getting scorched or not. I know y'all don't want to admit that. I'm talking about me. And I still want to say I'm saved, but I'm right here on the edge. I went to the club, but I ain't do no dancing. I ain't look at the girls. I was kind of like this. I ain't drink nothing. And let me tell you, no, it ain't right for you. It ain't good for you. Why not, preacher? Let me tell you why it ain't. See, because Samson was really in a predicament like you and I, which we gave our lives to God. We was dedicated to God. We said that we had surrendered everything to God. So that means now that God has permission to rule over us. Now, what happens, though, when you don't allow God to rule over you, he will overrule you. Samson did not allow God to rule over him to use this predicament for how he really wanted to use it. Let me digress here for a minute. I'm not happy to say this. It's just shame. I am in my second marriage. As a man of God, you normally don't want to say things like that because your marriage vow says, till death do you part. And so you begin to feel some type of shame in it. But Paul also told us, as much as you can, try to live at peace with everybody. It means you ain't going to live at peace with everybody. So without getting into details, I didn't live at peace. I'm out. I'm gone. Understand? Now, when I got married again, though, I realized something. It wasn't love that was going to keep me in marriage. So when I met with this woman, I wanted to know, are you ready to go into battle with me? Are you ready to build something with me? There's not a marriage you're going to find in the Bible where they say they got married because they love one another. Not one. I challenge any Bible scholar to it. I've done it. I've done the research. Not one marriage in the Bible was built on love. It was built on, hey, I'm going to give you my daughter. Let's stop this war between each other. You take that piece of land, we take this land over here. Let's just try to live at peace with one another. I'll give you my daughter. Or I will go to the father. Hey, look here, sir, I'm tired of all this fighting. Let's go ahead and come and get an agreement. Let me go ahead and get with your daughter. Your people going to have to back up a little bit. My God needs y'all to back up a little bit because I need this. This is why people got married. And when I got with this woman, she was like, I'm ready to build something. And I'm telling you, from day one, that's all we've been doing is building. See, because when I talk about building something, I'm talking about I want to build a fortress where we begin to pray for my family, your family. Not just what's under our roof, but our extended family, where they can get blessed and learn about the things of God. You going into battle with somebody, and love a lot of times ain't enough to hold it together. Because when you're fighting, you're fighting. And sometimes in a fight, guess what? I ain't got time to look back and tell you I love you, I care about you. Look, gird up your loins, let we in this thing. Samson didn't understand. That was just a sidebar for those of y'all thinking about y'all getting married and because you're so in love. And look, I'm not knocking love. Love is good. But keep in mind, you are children of the Most High God. That means God has permission to rule over you. But when you will not allow him to do it, then he will overrule you. So, okay, Samson disrespected his parents. What was his second step? Samson disregarded his God. Let's pull up verses 5 through 9. I'm going to read through these real quick. Oh, yeah, well, I got to read through these fast. Then Samson went down to Timnah with his father and mother and came as far as the vineyards of Timnah. And behold, a young lion came roaring toward him. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him mightily, so that he tore him as one tears a young goat, though he had nothing in his hand, but he did not tell his father and mother what he had done. So he went down and talked to the woman, and she looked good to Samson. Again, when he returned later to take her, he turned aside to look at the carcass of the lion, and behold, a swarm of bees and honey were in the body of the lion. So he scraped the honey into his hands and went on, eating as he went. When he came to his father and mother, he gave some to them, and they ate. But he did not tell them that he had scraped the honey out of the body of the lion. All right, so let's go through this pretty fast. I got this Nazarite. He's going down there. He got his mother and father in tow with him. They're going down there. He's going to go ahead and try to holler at Shorty because he want to go ahead and get her to be his wife. Bet, whatever. Somehow or another, though, Samson sees a shortcut. He sees a path. He takes it. Finds himself in a vineyard. This should cause us to stop and think. Because one, he's a Nazarite. Nazarites cannot be around intoxicating drink. They cannot drink anything. So the Nazarite vow, number one, you could not cut your hair. Why couldn't you cut your hair? Because it made you look silly. It humiliated you. And so your hair was long as a symbol to keep you humble. So normally, because of the fact when we come out, we want to look our best. This is why we put on our Sunday best when we come to church. But during the week, though, we normally don't shave. We look all scraggly. Why? Because we know we're not coming out the house. I don't care how I look. But once I'm out in public, though, then I got to clean this thing up. It was the same way with them. Y'all ain't no different. Y'all think y'all doing something new. Y'all ain't no different. So now he takes this shortcut. Okay, I said the cutting of the hair. You're not supposed to drink anything. It's three of them. Cut your hair. And not touching the dead. Thank you, Elder Chris. So here we go. Those are the three. Now, Samson is walking through this vineyard. It's a shortcut. Like most of us, the enemy shows us something different. It's a shortcut. You can get there. You can do it this way. And like, most of us who live on the edge, I can take this shortcut. I'm going to take it. But then he finds himself in a vineyard in a place that he's not supposed to be in. Why do you keep allowing yourself to go to a place where you can be so easily, readily tempted? If you know that you're not even supposed to be around grapes, and this is what the Nazarite vow was, you couldn't even be around grapes. When I tell you that this is a serious vow to take, when I talk about not touching a corpse, if your parents died, you couldn't go kiss your mother and father for the last time. You couldn't wrap their body. You was not allowed to touch them. So if you took this vow and your parents died, you was not going to be a part of that funeral service. That's how serious this thing was. So when we talk about you couldn't drink, no, you couldn't even eat grapes. It was so bad you couldn't even eat raisins. It was considered strong, intoxicating. But yet he allowed himself to be tempted to be in the vineyard. It's hot. I'm traveling. Yeah, it's only 4 miles, but it's just a grape. Isn't that how we do it? It's just a grape. So now you allowed yourself to be led somewhere where you're tempted. And isn't it ironic that the Bible says our enemy, as a roaring lion, is going back and forth throughout the earth, seeking whom he might devour? So it wasn't strange to me that he ran into a lion while he was in a place where he wasn't supposed to be in anyway. You keep wondering why the devils keep showing up in your life. Maybe you need to be questioning why you're in the places that you're not supposed to be in. Now, let's address this though. It says that it says the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. So it's only because of the Spirit of the Lord was upon him that he was able to then tear this line apart as if he was tearing apart a young goat with nothing in his hand. Now, I don't know about you, but as a young kid, I never tore apart a young goat. But apparently this is what they did back then. They had fun and they just tore apart a young goat. They was like, crazy, but anyway, deranged. But he tears this line apart, leaves it, goes down. Now this is the first time he actually had a conversation with this woman. Because it says now he talks to the woman, and now he really sprung. He really want her now. Because now he can tell she intelligent too. On the way back, he sees the carcass of the lion. And what does he do? He digs down into the carcass because he sees bees and honey. And he scrapes up some honey. This can't be right. Scrape. This is honey. This is good. Hold up. When's the last time y'all been past a dead animal? Like for real. Have any of you all ever seen bees congregate in a corpse of a dead animal? No, what do you normally see in there? Thank you. Flies and maggots is normally what you see gathered there. So why is it then we keep wanting to stick our hand in something that we know not supposed to be there? He sticks his hand down in it. No, this is honey. Hold up, but he's a Nazarite. He's not supposed to touch a corpse. Disregarded his God because he's now disregarding his vows. But then what do? We take it and we want to go ahead and contaminate everybody else around us. I'm walking. This is good. Good. Yo, Pastor, I just got some of this Mary Jane. Yo, you got to get some of this. He gives it to his mother and father and never tells them where it even came from. Why not? Because mommy and daddy was like, boy, you know you ain't supposed to touch no corpse. Get that out of here. But no, he don't open his mouth because he don't want the word of correction. Let's keep moving because I got to get out of here. Pastor, we got to be out at a hard 11, right? Okay, we do. Pastor, I'm not going to finish this. Now, we'll see what happens. Let's look at the third step. Let's go to verses 10 and 11. I'm going to talk through these real quick. Okay, so the third thing that he does now then is he distances his friends. So stay with me. Y'all know me because y'all have been with me before. I'm the preacher that normally preaches for alliteration because it helps you to remember it. He disrespected his parents. He disregarded his God. And now he's distancing his friends. Then his father and mother went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there. When they saw him, they brought... Then his father and mother went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there, for the young men customarily did this. Verse 11. When they saw him, they brought 30 companions to be with him. All right. Jesus talks about this. He talks about friends of the bridegroom. Friends of the bridegroom, because whenever you was going to have a wedding, what do? You put out an invitation list and you invite your family and your friends. Isn't it ironic, though, that Samson is going down to marry this woman? He got his mother and father with him. How come he didn't bring no friends with him? Not only that, because I want you to see what's there. When they saw him, the infamous day, my mother used to always tell me, I was like, well, they said, well, they going to get your butt whipped. That infamous day. When they saw him, who's they? Who is the they here? Let me help you out. The Philistines. So when your enemy saw that you didn't even bring no friends with you, let me go get 30 companions for you. Let me go get 30 friends for you. Your enemy understands your customs, your traditions. He's an Israelite. Why does his enemy know his customs and his traditions? Because your enemy knows how to fight dirty. Your enemy strategizes how he's going to attack you and bring you down. Not one day out of the week, but all 7 days of the week. Your enemy is strategizing how he's going to bring you down. So now he distances his friends. Your enemy goes and gets 30 friends for you to be at this wedding feast. What? Why isn't it that Samson didn't have any friends? Or did he have friends? In all of my reading, I have not read anywhere where I found that, Samson was in the Marine Corps and hung out with some of his boys, you know what I'm saying? I didn't see where he had the men of IsREAL and they jumped on the prayer call at 6:30 in the morning, Monday morning. Hey, thank you, Pastor. Amen, because I expect to see more of y'all on the call at 6:30 Monday mornings. Amen. 6 a.m. I'm sorry, you're right, 6 a.m. Look, Don was like, get it right, 6 a.m. It's only for 30 minutes. I know it because I got to be at work by 6:30. But anyway, he didn't have anybody who he was soldiering with, anybody that was walking this life with him to begin to help him out whenever you get ready to make a bad decision. Your enemy, though, knew it. One of the things I love about being in this world of technology, especially like, when you're working on a Word document, is spell check. I'm pretty smart, but I don't spell everything correctly. I enjoy spell check because it sure enough will give you, I don't think you was trying to say that, here go 3 alternatives for you. And as I was going through this lesson, I was like, man, God, it would be so nice if we had a mistake check, a sin check. And I kid you not, God arrested me on Friday night, I think it was, Friday. And he was like, you have that. And I was like, excuse me? He was like, yeah, they're called friends. See, because a true friend, when they love you, you can share any and everything with them. See, but your problem is you don't want to get transparent and you don't want to be genuine enough with those that are in your life for your good. And so you tend to hold back things from them because you don't want them giving you 3 other alternatives. Hey, girl, I'm thinking about going to the club. No, girl, I don't think you should do that. Look, it's a prayer line going on right now. Well, how about jumping on this prayer line? You don't want to hear that. So you don't go to your girlfriends and talk to them about that. Oh, I'm sitting here right now. It's late at night, and guess what? This popped up, and it caused me to look at porn, so you call your boy, yo, I think I'm going to go ahead and go down to the strip club. You ain't going to call your boy and tell your boy that because you don't want your boy to go, you're a man of God, and you look weak. Why would you do something like that? No, because your boy, if he really love you, going to get in your grill and tell you, Negro, that's not what we do. Samson was a classic loner. He spent most of his time by himself, never surrounded with any other men. Okay, we can always go to the easy stuff. Iron sharpens iron. Okay, let's look at it this way. Proverbs 18:1. Go ahead, pull it up for me, Michelle. Proverbs 18:1. Do I have it? Did I write it down? I did. A man who isolates himself seeks his own desire. He rages against all wise judgment. This is Samson. He's acting alone, and whenever a person acts that way, do know that you are easy prey for the enemy. Okay, so now we got this. Let's go to step 4. Samson downplayed his failure. Oh, this is going to be the fun one right here. Let's go ahead. Go to verse 12. Verse 12 through 18. It's only 21 verses, so we're almost done. This is good. Then Samson said to them, let me now propound a riddle for you. If you will indeed tell it to me within 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 linen wraps and 30 changes of clothes. 13. But if you are unable to tell me, then you shall give me 30 linen wraps and 30 changes of clothes. And they said to him, go ahead, ask your riddle that we may hear it. Go ahead. So he said to them, out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. But they could not tell the riddle in 3 days. Keep going. Then it came about on the 4th day that they said to Samson's wife, entice your husband so that he would tell us the riddle, or we will burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you invited us to impoverish us? Is this not so? Samson's wife wept before him, and he said, you only hate me. You do not love me. You have propounded a riddle to the sons of my people and have not told it to me. And he said to her, behold, I haven't told my mother and father neither. Like, so should I tell you? Like, who are you? I just met you for real. Anyway. However, she wept before him 7 days while the feast lasted. And on the 7th day, he told her because she pressed him so hard. She then told the riddle to the sons of her people. 18. So the men of the city said to him on the 7th day before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And he said to them, if you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle. This marriage is off to a bad start. Okay? It's your honeymoon period, so their custom was they party for 7 days. It's your honeymoon period. You really getting to know her. You're talking to her. This is why they had this long party and everything. 7 days, though, she crying. This ain't starting good. Every night she crying. Now you need to tell me what happened. Tell me your secret. Marriage ain't going well already. Number 2, she and her father have been threatened already. We're going to kill you. How are we going to do it? By fire. You want to talk about a bad way to go. I always say, God, don't let me go in a fire. I don't think I can handle that. The air is leaving so you can't breathe, and you're feeling the heat burning your skin, your flesh. That's a bad way to go. But they threatened her. Not one person, all 30 of them. If you don't get this answer, we're going to burn you and your father, the whole house. But then Samson calls his now wife a cow. This marriage is off to a bad start. He said, if you hadn't plowed with my heifer, Samson, dude, like you never learned nothing, did you? But let's talk about how he's sliding downhill. He downplayed the fact that he had sinned. Samson used the very thing that he had sinned with, which was the honey that he pulled out of this corpse, the dead lion, as a riddle. Now, why did he tell a riddle? Because that was customary. You would go ahead and sit around, and it was a way to spark conversation between people during the feast, during the wedding feast. So you would propose a riddle, and it was kind of like one of those things, a friendly game of matching wits with one another, because they wanted to see what you really working with, anything up there or not. So you would do these little riddles. So that wasn't even strange. But what's strange is that Samson would try to make a joke out of the fact that he was disobeying God. He downplayed it by using his sin as part of the riddle. Now, I know you and we all have our issues. You got your thing, I got my thing. And it is natural for us as humans, First Lady will back this up because she's a therapist. One of the things that we do whenever we're trying to protect ourselves is we deflect. We try to get you off the scent of what it is I'm really going through. Hey, how you doing? All is well. I had a great week. I played golf this week. We deflect because really what you asked me, though, how am I? I never once said, you know what, I really was struggling with this because my mother's in the hospital wearing me out. These old people, God bless them. I said, God, if I have to act like that in my old age, take me out while I'm young. God bless. No, I'm being for real. I'm so transparent right now. I've been taking care of old people for way too long right now, and it's wearing me out. I love them. I digress. Let me leave it alone. So, Samson is downplaying this whole thing, and I was at deflection. So we have this natural tendency where we want to deflect. We would just go ahead and kind of push it off. That's a human tendency. But when you get to the point where you can downplay your sin, see, you try to act like it's no big deal. That pornography, playing lottery, breaking laws, me, speeding. I just got a speeding ticket last week. True transparency, 102 miles per hour in a 65. Yo, the cop just came to the car. He was like, look, do show up because we lock people up for this one. I was like, I know. I was like, for real, I know. I've been locked up enough times in North Carolina for the same thing. Yo, I'm so transparent right now. I'm not proud of it, but I know me. So we'll try to go right to the edge, and we get caught. And guess what? You know, this is something I taught my kids, Kiara. If you did it, choices people make, consequences they take. That was my choice. I'm going to deal with the consequence. Are you willing to deal with your consequences of your sin? Or are you just going to continue to downplay it and act like it didn't happen? Well, it wasn't no big deal. It was only one time I slept with her. No big deal. It wasn't no big deal. I only went to the club and I only stayed 15 minutes. No big deal. It was a tiny sin. It wasn't even no big deal. Let it go. Stop trying to downplay the thing that God is trying to bless you to get into anyway. Okay, the last and final one. Let's go ahead and go to verses 19. It's so much I done left out because I started rushing, but this is still good. Verse 19 for me, Michelle. Thank you. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon him mightily, and he went down to Ashkelon. And he killed 30 of them and took their spoil and gave the changes of clothes to those who told the riddle. And his anger burned, and he went up to his father's house. Whenever you disrespect your parents, whenever you disregard your God, you distance your friends, and whenever you try to downplay your sin, your wrongdoing, it will lead you to a place where you dismantle those around you. Dismantle, destroy. You literally destroy everything around you because you've caused yourself to drift so far away from God. Look at this. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. Oh, go back, 19. Spirit of the Lord came upon him. What are you doing, though, when God's Spirit comes upon you? See, because God still didn't leave him. Through all of this, Samson, what are you doing it when the Spirit of God comes upon you? Clearly, Samson ignored it. Do you know Ashkelon was 23 miles away? He traveled 23 miles, went down there and killed 30 Philistines. Took their Tom Ford suits so he can bring it up and give it to the other folks. Now, he's a Nazirite. You cannot touch a corpse. So now you done got so comfortable because you've just been touching a corpse. You know, the lion. And now you're so comfortable with it because you wasn't consequenced in your sin immediately. You feel okay to keep doing it. To the point now where you go kill 30, and now you got to touch 30 people. Why? Because you disregard your vows. It was never that important to you anyway. One of the things that trips me out so much, and I'm sure you all run into it as well, is whenever you run across people that you used to go to church with. You run across them somewhere, you in the mall, anywhere. Oh, yeah, I remember you. Don't you go to IsREAL Life Church? Yeah. I was like, I don't kind of remember. You was there, you know, my whole family came down. We dedicated our lives to God. It was me, my wife, and my 2 daughters, and my little son. Matter of fact, you was in the water with me when I got baptized, and they go through all this stuff. And you go, wow, okay, yeah. My first question is, hey, where are you fellowshipping now? Bedside Baptist? Or, you know, you see me. I know you see me. No, I don't see you. I'm there every Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter. You know, see me, Christians. No, I don't see you for real. I don't. So let me help you out. Your past expressions of faith are invalid if they cannot equate to your present experience. Let me say it again for you. Your past experiences of faith, those moments when you came up and you dedicated, when you got baptized, they are invalid if you cannot equate that to your present day experience right now. So what am I saying? If your dedication does not equal your devotion, you are invalid. God is looking for us to be devoted to him, not just dedicated to him. Samson was dedicated, but he wasn't devoted. He lived this vow from birth until 20. Gets out in the public and loses it all. How old was Samson when he died? 40 years old. 40 years old. Let me help you out. Not once do you find Samson praying in these 4 chapters. Samson prays one time, and it's at the end of his life. I said there was so many titles I wanted to give this. One of the titles that I was contemplating with was, "Do not die with your me, my, and I." Again, Pastor was on it this morning because he said, y'all come in here flat because you come in here for yourselves. You come in here for my me, my, and I. God, it's just me, Lord, standing in the need of prayer. I need this, God. I need that, God. Give me my. Samson, at the end of his life, finally decides to pray to God. And you know what his prayer was? Dear God, hear me. Allow me to get my vengeance on these people who has taken my sight. Not once was it for, God, allow me to fulfill the thing that you created me for, which was to destroy the Philistines. Allow me to end my life in a way that will bring you glory and honor. God, give me one more shot to get it right before you. Allow me to fulfill God's promises in my life. Allow me to fulfill everything that you've asked me to do in this lifetime. Allow me to be the priest in my home. Allow me to be the shepherd where I'm supposed to be, because it's for somebody else. But so many of us are going to die with my me, my, and I because you're still looking for vengeance. So at 40 years old, he commits suicide. Oh yeah, that's what he did. He asked somebody else, put me up between the 2 pillars in the middle of this place. It's a lot of them in here. I'm going to take me out and them too. But he only did it for his own vanity, because they took his sight, not the sight that God gave him. It was all about him. So like I said, God would never allow us to come into a place and let me just step on your toes like this. So let me give you 3 quick points of how we can do this right. Number 1, take God seriously. I mean seriously, take God seriously. God has extended his breath in our lungs so that we will just magnify, glorify, and do the things he's called us to do. Number 2, choose your friends wisely. Number 3, make your choices cautiously. I pray that you was blessed by that. I pray that you would take this word and let it manifest in your life.